What's up, guys? First off, I want to thank all of you that have given me feedback on the videos. It's been a lot of fun getting this thing up and rolling, and you guys have been a big part of that. And the other thing I want to say before we get on with the main course here is everything I'm talking about here, my opinions and these ratings, it's all film-based. And the reason I like film more than some of these analytics or spreadsheet style analysis of players is I just feel like it gives you a more clear look. You can kind of twist stats to say whatever you want them to, whereas film isn't skewed at all, and it's just kind of what you see is what you get. That said, film is still subjective. I'm not trying to say anything here that I'm giving any objective truths or that my opinions are better than anyone's. That's really for you guys to decide. I'm just kind of calling it how I see it. So we're going to start here with number 5 most overrated player in Madden 17, and it's Larry Fitzgerald. And I get it, he's a fan favorite, and it hurts me a little bit too. He's such a great guy. He's a local Minnesotan, and he's still a great player. The thing is, it's more about the guys that are ranked below him. Dez Bryant, Allen Robinson, even a guy on his own team, Michael Floyd. You got Sammy Watkins, Mike Evans. These are all guys that I think that I would rather have than Larry Fitzgerald. Okay, number 4. This one's kind of interesting, and I think you'll be kind of on the same page with I was on this guy, and it's Rashad Jones. And if you've been playing Madden for a while, he's been ranked as one of the better players in Madden for the last 2 or 3 years. Yet when you watch this guy, you hardly notice. He's not a huge, box score, stat stuffer kind of guy. Safety for the Dolphins, by the way. I went in, I watched some film on this guy. And what I saw was a very average safety, honestly. He had 5 interceptions on the year, which kind of leads me to believe that Madden just kind of said, all right, he kept his stats up, we'll just keep his rating where it is. But 3 of his 5 interceptions fell right into his lap. Literally, he was just in the right place at the right time. One of his interceptions was actually a really nice play, kind of Malcolm Butler style, jumped a slant route, made a nice interception. But all in all, just not overly impressed. Nothing that made me say, yeah, this guy's a top 60 player in Madden, which is where he's sitting right now. And then I also went and I watched all the touchdowns that the Dolphins gave up last year, because it's the safety's job to prevent big plays. And actually a lot of the big plays that they gave up last year, and it was a fair amount of them, were thanks to missed tackles by Rashad Jones. So again, just a lot of guys I'd rather have than what I saw from Rashad Jones. Guys like George Iocca, TJ Ward, Morgan Burnett, a bunch of safeties there that I'm going to definitely be having above Rashad Jones in my ratings. And at number 3, we got Vince Wilfork. And I get it, he's a Hall of Famer, but he's an 84 overall. You might say, just leave him. It's kind of harmless to just keep him there. But he's the 13th D tackle in Madden 17, which is a pretty serious impact player. And when I watch the film, that's not what he is anymore. He's a 2-gap, A-gap defender. If you want to run it up the middle, he's going to make it a little harder for you to do it. And just leaving him as the 13th D tackle just seems kind of lazy to me. And you can look at the flip side too there's a lot of guys that I would rather have than Vince Wilfork, but you can look at some of these first-round rookies. Sheldon Rankins, Kenny Clark, both first-round D tackles that if I had a house, I would bet my house that these guys are going to be more productive on the field than Vince Wilfork next season. And at number 2, we got Andy Dalton. And I'm going to kind of keep this short because I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of this rhetoric about Andy Dalton being overrated. And the truth is, I'm actually coming around on Andy Dalton a little bit. But he's the 9th ranked quarterback in Madden 17. And the one thing I will say is that I'm not sure, outside of maybe Carson Palmer, that there was a quarterback in the NFL that had an easier job than Andy Dalton last year. And to say he's a top 10 quarterback, I'm just not quite there yet. And before we get into number 1 here, there's one guy I want to talk about, and that is Cam Newton. And he's a guy that I originally actually had as the number 1 most overrated player. But you just can't ignore what he did in the middle of the season last year. Just absolutely unstoppable. So I'm not going to put him on this list. There's just really 3 concerns I have with Cam Newton. Number 1, if you look at the schedule they had, I'm not sure in a 20-year window left or right that you're going to find a playoff team and an MVP candidate that had an easier schedule than the Panthers had last year. Second is there's this concept out there that he was working all alone and he didn't have many weapons with that offense. And guys, that's got to stop. For starters, Greg Olsen is 93% of a Gronkowski. He's amazing. Then you go down the list. Corey, don't call me Philly Brown. He's actually really good. I see a young Randall Cobb and kind of a Golden Tate style guy there. You can look at a Ted Ginn. Yeah, he had some inconvenient drops, but if you ask Cam Newton, a receiver that's blazing fast and is always wide open, it's a pretty damn good threat. And then a guy like Devin Funchess came on late too. And not to mention Jonathan Stewart's underrated as a running back. So I just think, Cam's great, but he's not out there doing it alone. Number 3, concern I have with Cam Newton is he fits this kind of mold of a gunslinger quarterback. And I'm going to talk about that a little more here as we transition to our number 1 most overrated player, and that is Matthew Stafford. And he's the 11th ranked quarterback, and he falls into this category of gunslinger quarterback, which you're going to hear me talk a lot about in my videos. So I'm just going to elaborate on that a little bit. It's kind of this phenomenon in the NFL where we've got about a dozen guys right now that are, in my opinion, more or less interchangeable. A few guys are a little better than others, but essentially these guys are strong-armed, pretty accurate, and they're tall. They're all really tall. But anyway, these guys, i.e. Cam Newton, Carson Palmer last year. The thing with these guys is all of them, they really struggle when those first and second reads aren't there. They really struggle to extend the play. And when you hear extend the play, you might think of like that Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers rolling out of the pocket, and that's not necessarily it, guys. Tom Brady's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL at extending the play. What I mean when the play's not there and the defense takes away their reads, a lot of times they panic and they throw bad passes, leads to interceptions and all this bad stuff that you just don't want from your quarterback. And bringing this all full circle, I think Matthew Stafford ranks in the bottom of these gunslingers. And really, I don't think he's a top 20 quarterback in the league. And he's ranked 85 in Madden. And there's a bunch of guys below him like Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers that I just think are a lot better. And they're going to climb in the rankings for sure. So that's it, guys. Those are my top 5 most overrated players in Madden 17. If you disagree with anything I say, definitely reach out. I'd love to get in a discussion with you guys over some of this stuff. I definitely want this to be more of an open channel and interact with some of you guys. And the other thing is, if you got that EA early access, Madden 17 just 4 days away, comes out August 18th. Super excited, looking forward to keeping this thing rolling, making more videos. So see you soon, guys. Thank you.